You ready to be closed in for Easter? I've been seeing a lot written about Easter and the concern that it has within pastors and within churchgoers about not being able to meet within a church building for Easter. And I have to tell you, we've got to get some perspective on that. Easter was foreshadowed by a Jewish holiday known as Passover. And when Passover was first celebrated, it was under fear and trembling. Blood was wiped on the doorpost. The meal was ate in haste, standing up, staff in hand, unleavened bread, roasted lamb. All the family was gathered together, ready to move upon a moment's notice. Not only was the first Passover celebrated in fear and trembling, but many since then. Whether it be with the kings in Israel that did not want to follow God and therefore did not want them to celebrate Passover, or whether it be with Jews living in a foreign land celebrating Passover. No matter how you look at it, Passover had been celebrated. It sometimes very openly and magnificently, but for most of the time it was celebrated in hiding. And then the first Easter was celebrated with fear and trembling. 2 days before Jesus was crucified, and that Sunday morning they were scared. They thought they were next to be crucified, and so they stayed in their home. And since the time of Jesus, most of the time around the world, Passover and Easter have been celebrated in closed doors and in hiding. Whether it be in Nazi Germany or whether it be today with our Christian brothers and sisters over in the Middle East. Passover and Easter are not commonly celebrated so openly. We have been lucky here in America to be in this golden age of the church where celebrities, movie stars, rock stars, politicians talk about their faith in Christ openly. Where we can have celebrated services that are on TV networks and streamed without fear of them being shut off. And now all of a sudden, this one Sunday, because of some little virus, we might not be able to meet in that grand estate. We start to wonder, where's God? During some of our difficult times, when some of our comforts are stripped away from us, God begins to speak into those empty spaces. And what He says the best to us is, do you really need that to follow me? No one can probably speak to this better than one of the 33 doctrines of the Catholic faith, St. John of the Cross, in his book, The Dark Night of the Soul. He mentions 6 things which God tries to purge from us when we're going through difficult situations, wondering why He doesn't even answer good prayers. He says that those 6 things are pride, avarice, luxury, wrath, spiritual gluttony, and spiritual envy and sloth. You know, we've heard Christian talks about Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, or we've heard messages about giving up the good thing for the better thing. And could it be that during this time that God is trying to take away some good things to give us a greater thing or a better thing? Could it be that we don't need all these accoutrements to our faith and that these extra things have actually distracted us from being able to focus solely on Jesus as the center of our faith? You see, St. John of the Cross talked about this in his book, The Dark Night of the Soul. He says that during this time we begin to pray to God and we ask for good things and He doesn't answer those things, and we begin to wonder, why won't you even answer good things for us? This is even in your word and you're not even answering it. This is what you promised and I don't see it coming. Or we talked about people needing a rosary or crucifix in order to pray to, or in order to hold or touch, or whatever the case is, because that part there was so important to their own faith. But when they were gone, what happened? And what God is trying to do is move out the material in order to focus on the immaterial, which is Him. I think we as a church body need to look at this, that what we are going through right now is very small scale compared to what the rest of the world and the rest of human history has had to go through for over 3,500 years, going clear back to the first Passover. And to get rid of all the distractions and the things that we think we need in order to feel connected to Jesus. Maybe what we need is this event to focus us back on the essence of our faith. It's not the drums, it's not the guitars, it's not the light show, it's not the streaming services, it's not the size of our church, it's not the luxury seating, the stadium seating, the theater seating. It's not about our position, it's not about our power, it's not about the amount of countries that we've worshipped in or broadcasted into or traveled to or anything else. It's about Jesus and Jesus alone. And maybe it took this virus to get us focused back on the essence of our faith. Happy Easter.